A wealthy and beautiful woman visited her psychiatrist, feeling deeply depressed and convinced her life utterly lacked meaning or purpose. Despite her outward appearance of success and having everything money could buy, she felt an overwhelming emptiness within. The psychiatrist listened patiently, then said, "I won't rush into treatment just yet. Instead, I am going to ask someone to share her story with you. Her name is Mary, and she cleansed the floors of this office. I simply want you to listen to how she found her sense of purpose and contentment." He called for the elderly cleaner, a woman with kind eyes and hands weathered by years of hard work. Mary set down her mop and bucket, her gaze calm and steady despite the difficult memories, and began to speak. "My life hasn't always been easy," she began softly. "Not long ago, my dear husband passed away after a long illness. My heart was heavy with grief. Just 3 months later, a terrible and sudden accident took my only son. He was hit by a car, gone in an instant." Mary continued, her voice trembling slightly with the memory of such profound loss. "I was completely devastated. I felt utterly alone in the world, like my future had been erased. The pain was almost unbearable, and there were days I felt I couldn't possibly go on, that life held no more joy or reason to live. I honestly felt like just giving up. But then," she said, her voice softening, "one evening, walking home through the cold, a tiny shivering kitten started following me. It looked lost, hungry, and desperately in need of warmth. My first instinct was to keep walking, lost as I was in my own overwhelming sorrow. But it kept meowing, rubbing against my legs so helplessly. So small and clearly needed help. I opened my door," Mary recounted, "and let it in. I poured a little milk into a saucer, and it drank eagerly, purring loudly as it did. Afterward, it curled up by the fire, warm and safe. And in that simple moment, seeing that little creature content and feeling its gentle warmth, hearing its happy purr, for the very first time in months, I found myself genuinely smiling. A real, unforced smile." "That's when it struck me," Mary said, a light in her eyes. "If helping a simple, lost kitten could bring me even a moment of genuine happiness, perhaps doing good for others, even in small ways, could bring me more lasting peace. I realized that my focus had been entirely inward, on my own unbearable pain. Maybe the way out of my despair was to look outward, to ease someone else's burden, no matter how small that act of kindness might be. Since that day," she concluded, her voice filled with quiet strength, "I make a conscious effort every day to do something kind for someone else. It doesn't have to be anything grand, perhaps just a word of encouragement to a stranger, helping someone with their groceries, or simply offering a genuine smile and a listening ear to someone who looks lonely. Seeing the happiness, relief, or even just a flicker of light in others' eyes, knowing I've made even a tiny positive difference in their day. That is where I found my own happiness again. My life feels full of meaning now, not empty." As Mary finished her story, the wealthy woman sat in stunned silence. Then, the rigid lines of her face softened, her eyes welled up, and she began to weep uncontrollably. She had sought meaning in possessions, status, and fleeting pleasures, but listening to Mary, she realized she had missed the fundamental human connection, purpose, and the profound satisfaction that comes from giving. She had everything money could buy, but she suddenly understood that she had lacked the capacity for the kind of simple joy and genuine connection that money cannot purchase. The beauty and meaning of life she began to understand through Mary's humble example don't depend on your own comfort, wealth, or status, but on the positive impact you have on others, the kindness you show, and the connections you build. True happiness isn't a final destination to be reached after acquiring certain things. It is found in the journey itself, in the simple acts of living and giving generously. It's not something promised in a distant future, but is accessible right now, in the present moment, through your actions. Real happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances or what others do for you. It comes from within you and your choice to bring light to the world. Ultimately, happiness isn't about what you own or achieve. It is profoundly about the person you are and the love and kindness you share.